Breaking news out of Pittsburgh. A new wave of hot takes, bold claims, and fresh discussions has exploded across the NFL world, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are right at the center of it. From national media commentary to inside analysis, everyone suddenly has something to say about the black and gold. But tonight, we're cutting through the noise. We're breaking down what's real, what's exaggerated, and what Steelers fans truly need to know. Let's start with the headline that has fans talking. Colin Cowherd's latest narrative about the Pittsburgh Steelers. All week, he has repeated the same claim, that the Steelers have no run game, and that Aaron Rodgers is single-handedly carrying the entire offense. Now sure, Rodgers has stepped up big in some moments, like the win over the Ravens. But saying the Steelers can't run the football is simply not the full story. Cowherd seems to be judging the team only by the last two games. And yes, in those games, the Steelers didn't run the ball much. The play calling was pass-heavy, and the numbers reflect that. Last week, Pittsburgh averaged just 2.2 yards per carry, one of their lowest of the season. Against Buffalo, things weren't much better, sitting at 3.4 yards per rush. But here's where Cowherd's take falls apart. When you look at the full season, the Steelers' run game is nowhere near bad. In fact, they've quietly been one of the top rushing teams in the NFL on a per-carry basis. Pittsburgh ranks white heavy checkmark 9th in rushing EPA, white heavy checkmark 10th in success rate. These aren't the numbers of a team that can't run the ball. These are the numbers of a team that can run it, but simply didn't commit to the run in the last two matchups. And fans know this. Just 3 weeks ago, Pittsburgh put up 160 rushing yards against the Chicago Bears behind Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell, averaging almost 6 yards per carry. That's not just good, that's dominant. Last season, the Steelers really did struggle in the run game, finishing near the bottom of the league in efficiency. But this year has been a different story. The improvement is real, and the numbers prove it. So the idea that the Steelers don't have a run game isn't just exaggerated. It's simply wrong. The truth is this. The Steelers' run game this season is far better than what we saw last year. The numbers prove it. The talent proves it. The only reason it hasn't looked the same over the past 2 weeks is simple. Pittsburgh has leaned heavily on Aaron Rodgers and the passing attack. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. The Steelers are building an offense that can hurt teams in multiple ways. When Rodgers is in rhythm, when he's attacking downfield with confidence, this offense opens up in a dangerous way. And once the Steelers shift back to a more balanced approach, the run game will naturally rise again, because the pieces are there. Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell still give Pittsburgh a strong 1-2 punch. The blocking has shown improvement, and once the team decides to re-establish the ground game, it's capable of bouncing back quickly. But the improvements aren't just on offense. The defensive side is getting reinforcements too. The return of Derek Harmon could change everything. With Harmon on the field, the Steelers' run defense has been dramatically better. They give up nearly 100 fewer rushing yards per game when he plays. That is not a small difference. That is season-changing. And help is coming in the secondary as well. Kyle Duggar is expected back this week. Jalen Ramsey continues to bring a veteran presence. Joey Porter Jr. has been a lockdown machine in man coverage all season. With Pierre and Eccles rotating in their roles, the defensive backfield is finally stabilizing. Put all of this together, a defense getting healthier, a run game ready to bounce back, and an offense growing more dangerous, and the Steelers suddenly look like a team preparing to peak at the right time. Last season, Pittsburgh collapsed late. This year, the story feels completely different. This team looks like it's building toward its best football in December and January, which is exactly what championship contenders do. The question now is simple. Do you believe this Steelers team can make a real run? Now let's turn to something much more important for Steelers Nation. The early draft buzz that's beginning to heat up across the league. Several major analysts have started releasing their first mock drafts of the season, including ESPN's Field Yates and Pro Football Focus's Trevor Sakima. And both have interesting thoughts on what direction Pittsburgh could take in the first round. Let's start with Field Yates. In his early projection, he has the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting USC wide receiver Makai Lemon with the 20th overall pick. Lemon is one of the most talked about receivers in this upcoming class, a smooth, explosive playmaker who consistently wins contested catches and rarely puts the ball on the ground. Yates pointed out something Steelers fans already know. Outside of DK Metcalf, the team needs another wideout who can truly scare defenses. The Steelers are near the bottom of the league in total wide receiver catches this year, and adding a dynamic young pass catcher could completely change the offense's identity moving forward. Lemon fits that mold perfectly. Despite not having prototypical big receiver size, he plays bigger than his frame, creates separation with ease, and has one of the best catch radiuses in the entire class. Across 3 college seasons, he dropped only 1 pass each year, a remarkable level of consistency. And according to Yates, Lemon might not even last until Pittsburgh's pick. He believes there's a real chance the young receiver could rise even higher by April. And considering how deep and talented this year's receiver class is, that says a lot. This group is loaded. 5 different receivers have legitimate first-round talent, and Pittsburgh could have multiple strong options to choose from when they're on the clock next spring. The conversation around this year's draft class keeps getting more interesting for the Steelers, especially at wide receiver. This group is absolutely loaded, and Pittsburgh could find a star if they decide to go that direction in round 1. My Lemon is one of the names drawing the most attention, but he's far from the only elite talent in this class. Several scouts believe he belongs right alongside other top prospects. He isn't the tallest receiver in the group, but he's not undersized either. He plays strong, he plays fearless, and he consistently wins contested catches like a much bigger player. What makes Lemon special is the complete package. Terrific hands, elite catch radius, polished footwork, tough sideline grabs, explosive yards after the catch. He has been one of the most productive receivers in the country, putting up nearly 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns, while averaging almost 15 yards per grab. If a player with that level of production falls to the Steelers around pick 20, it would be difficult to pass on him. And the timing makes sense. Pittsburgh already made a major investment in DK Metcalf, so using free agency to chase another expensive receiver may not be realistic. The draft, however, gives the team a chance to add a young, high-upside playmaker on a rookie contract, and that could shape the offense for years. Pairing Metcalf with a talent like Lemon would give the Steelers one of the most dangerous duos in the league. It would secure the wide receiver room for the next 4 years and potentially give the team its future number 1 option down the road. But Lemon isn't the only name being linked to Pittsburgh. Trevor Sakima from Pro Football Focus also projects the Steelers going wide receiver in the first round, this time selecting Denzel Boston out of Washington. Boston is a long, smooth 6 feet 4 inches target who creates mismatches all over the field. He earned one of the highest receiving grades in college football this year, especially against man coverage, where he dominated defenders with his size and movement. Both analysts agree on one thing. Pittsburgh needs another reliable playmaker next to Metcalf, and this draft class offers several strong options. If the Pittsburgh Steelers want to add another serious weapon to this offense, there's a wide receiver on the board who fits the Steelers' identity almost perfectly. He isn't the fastest guy in the draft, but he's built like a wall, runs routes cleaner than most veterans, and consistently beats man coverage with technique, not just athleticism. He's the type of player who wins contested catches along the sideline, uses his frame to shield defenders, and becomes a quarterback's best friend on 3rd and long. And imagine this, Pittsburgh adding another 6 feet 4 inches target to pair with DK Metcalf. 2 big-bodied receivers attacking defenses from different angles. That's a nightmare for any defensive coordinator. DK Metcalf brings elite speed and yards after catch damage. Once he gets moving, almost nobody catches him. This other prospect isn't the same athlete, but his route tree is polished, his footwork is sharp, and he wins with precision. Where Metcalf overwhelms defenders physically, this guy slices them up with technique. Together, they would form one of the most complete wide receiver duos in the AFC. But let's shift to something even more fascinating. Steelers legend Ben Roethlisberger recently shared a powerful insight about the team's mindset. On his podcast, he said the outside criticism, the noise, the pressure, all of it might actually be bringing this locker room closer together. And honestly, he might be right. He explained that moments like this force a team to tighten up, block out the negativity, and trust each other even more. And this is exactly what Mike Tomlin's teams are known for, circling the wagons when the world doubts them. Look at the season so far. Pittsburgh's toughest losses have come against top NFL teams with winning records. Even in many of those games, the Steelers held leads or kept it tight well into the second half. And when adversity hit, they punched right back, beating Baltimore, taking down the Colts, and outlasting the AFC's current top seed, New England, with a defense that suffocated their offense and forced turnovers all night. Situations like these are often where Steelers football shines brightest. The outside noise grows, and the locker room grows stronger. And with the postseason push heating up, that unity might be the very thing that carries Pittsburgh the rest of the way. All season long, the Pittsburgh Steelers have taken every punch, every injury, every headline, and turned it into fuel. This team has battled playoff-caliber opponents week after week, and instead of breaking apart, the pressure has welded this locker room together. When outsiders attack Mike Tomlin, the players don't shrug it off. They take it personally. Cam Hayward said it loud and clear this week. If they're talking about Coach Tomlin, we have to own that as players. We want him here. We've got to play better. That tells you everything about the heartbeat of this team. These guys aren't just playing for wins. They're playing for the man who leads them into every single fight. And that loyalty is real. You don't fake that kind of respect. Alex Highsmith echoed the same energy, and he didn't hold back. He said the goal isn't just to sneak into the playoffs. It's not just about a division crown. The goal is the Super Bowl. He talked about the trust inside this locker room, the urgency rising each week, and the belief that once they get into January football, they can make noise against anybody. That confidence isn't arrogance. It's the mentality this franchise has built for decades. And when Highsmith praised Tomlin for staying calm through every high and low, it reinforced what makes Tomlin special. He doesn't panic. He doesn't point fingers. He stays steady, and the team follows him. Through losing streaks, injuries, ugly games, and big wins, Tomlin's voice never changes. That's why the players buy in. That's why they fight. No season is perfect. No stretch is easy. But one thing has remained unshaken: the Steelers' belief in their head coach and in each other. Mike Tomlin's leadership doesn't come from speeches or slogans. It comes from consistency, honesty, and a standard that the locker room respects deeply. And when your players love playing for you, you always have a chance, no matter what the outside world says. The Steelers are pushing toward January with urgency at an all-time high, a locker room united, and a head coach they refuse to let down. Whatever comes next, this team is stepping into it together with belief, resilience, and that unmistakable Pittsburgh edge.